Hello, everybody, and welcome to the monthly social media marketing Q&A clinic with me, Lucy Hall, and our guest, Ravi Shukle. Hi, Ravi.
Hey, Lucy. Nice to be back here again and talk all things content marketing.
Absolutely. This week, we're talking about content marketing. And if you haven't been to one of our live stream Q&As before, we cover a different topic within social media or content marketing every single week. And Ravi is amazing. He has years and years experience as a social media marketer and manager, and now he's country manager for Agorapulse as well. Ravi, do you want to introduce yourself for those who don't know who you are?
Yeah, sure. So hi to everyone tuning in live, and also for those who watch us again on the replay. So as Lucy said, I'm Ravi Shukle. My background over the last, I'd say nearly 12, 13 years, I've been doing social media marketing, starting off as a community manager all the way to head of social, which brings me, and that's from small businesses to agencies to in-house, which kind of nicely brings me on to today, where I'm now the country manager for Agorapulse, and I look after all the marketing in the UK and Ireland. So super excited to dive in and share some of those experiences with you about content marketing today, and to answer all those kind of questions you have around content and social media marketing.
Thank you so much, Ravi. So for those of you watching now live, this is an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you might have around content marketing, where to find content, and I guess what kind of content that you can create as well for social media. But to kick things off, I'm going to ask Ravi some questions to start with. And then as we go along, please feel free to ask. The questions will be added here, as you can see on the screen where it says, add your questions here live for Ravi to answer. And by now you should be either on my LinkedIn page, or you should be in our Digital Women Facebook group or on the page as well. So please say hi, let us know that you're here and watching so that we can see you. Okay, so my first question to you, Ravi, is it's a very broad question, so
Yeah.
it's okay. So where do you find content for your social media channels? I think it's a bit of a broad question, but it's really difficult, isn't it? There's all these social media channels. You have to fill them with content and make sure your audience is seeing it. Where do you go and find that content?
Yeah, so that's the full hour done with this one answer. But the short version is, do you have content that you already own? That's the first question. So a lot of businesses usually have a website, and some of those websites have blogs. So if you have a website that is already producing content, that's probably the first place you'd go. The second place you'd go is, if you don't have a website with a blog, is you'd look at how you can educate and inform your audience. So you'd look at news websites, because let's be honest, it's hard to compete against like Mashable or TechCrunch or any big technology or news website, because their journalists are paid to put stuff on the hour every hour. So if you can find industry related stuff that your audience is going to care about, that's the second place you look for news. And then there's loads of, like you said, Lucy, there's loads of social networks and communities that you can look at to find the kind of things people are looking for. The kind of last thing I'd say is, when you think about content, think about what your customers' pain points are, so what they're struggling with, and what can you create to help answer those questions. That's going to help you decide what to search for, where to look, and the kind of post to create, and that should hopefully give you a good starting point.
Fantastic. So just going back to that first thing you said, if you have a website or a blog and you're already creating content, you can use that content for social media. So do you recommend just kind of like posting the links with those blog posts or the content on your website, or is there something else you would do? Would you take content from it and slice it up, or do something different, creative with it? I just think there must be so many things that you can do with that.
Yeah, of course. I think the good thing about content marketing is a lot of business owners get a bit scared or nervous around the fact that I'm not a big multimedia business. I don't have the time or skills to create like 300 posts for the whole month or for the year or whatever it is, right? So the starting point is, if you've got a website or blog, obviously the first thing you do is you'd let people know you've got a brand new blog. It's live, you can tweet and share that. But then secondly, you'd look at how the blog's broken down. And usually if it's like tips based, and it's like number 1 to 5, each point could be a separate Instagram post on a carousel. It could be a separate tweet, which goes out every couple of days. It could even be a LinkedIn post broken down into sections, and each of those sections can be every week, for example. So there's no need to post all your content at the same time, you can break it down into smaller chunks and then spread that across your social channels. And in terms of images and video, you could turn each of those tips into a separate image or a separate video, and you've already got at least 10 pieces of content just from that one. But I know repurposing is a whole nother topic, which I know we're going into in the next month's chat as well. But to answer your question, you'd break down your existing blog and then repurpose it across your channels, either in photos, videos, or even different text updates.
I love that. Actually, we've just been thinking about how we can turn our articles into reels, actually, into kind of like, there's kind of short little videos where, for those of you who don't know what reels is, I'm sure most of you do. I was almost going to explain it, but you know what reels are, because I think that they're getting so much reach at the moment. So it must be a really good way to be able to kind of send people back. And are you creating this kind of small snippets of content from your blogs to lead people back to the blog post, or just to educate people on the platform that they're on? Like, what's the thought process?
Yeah, really good question. I would say drive back to the blog, because if we're being really honest with ourselves, the goal eventually at the end of the line is to get someone to contact your business, make an inquiry, to essentially work with you to help your business increase their sales. That's how you grow, right? So the more traffic you can go back to your website, then they'll be like, oh, well, Lucy also talks about Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest and Facebook blueprint training. So they'll learn more about you, and that way you're also getting more website to the traffic, which you can then use to funnel them into different things like an email list, etc. So you would use the different types of content, and it's a more engaging way to talk about the same thing rather than copy and paste the same thing every week, hoping different people see it. Repurposing means someone who doesn't like text might click your quote image, and someone who doesn't like images might click your video. Someone who doesn't like your video might like your reel. So there's advantages of turning it into different types of content, so people can just engage with what they enjoy rather than just having to click the same link over and over again.
So wow, it's almost like creating a mini campaign for each blog post or big piece of content you create, with the goal of getting more traffic back to that blog post. I think that's really good.
Yeah, and I think it might sound daunting at first, like, okay, it's easy for Ravi and Lucy to say just repurpose, but if you create templates, like a Canva template for your images, a template for like the quote graphics, then every time you do have a new blog, you've got a step-by-step process in terms of what to follow, and you can just drag and drop it in. As long your followers will be used to, like, for example, Digital Women's got the purple and the green, and so if we created a template for that, every time we had a new live Q&A like this or a blog, you could just paste in the text into that background, and literally you've created the post within 30 seconds or less. So if you create templates for your stuff, then it'll make life a lot easier as well.
Absolutely. Wow, that's really great advice, Ravi. And I can't wait till next month's one as well, when we talk about the content repurposing, because I think that's going to save people so much time. And Fiona Bradley's here on LinkedIn, actually, and she's asking the question, what are the best places to learn in-depth content tactics and to continue to upskill on social media and content marketing?
Hey, Fiona. Yeah, great question. So I'm going to say something a bit crazy here, but a lot of social media marketing is self-taught. And what I mean by that is, the best way to do it via a course, but how it actually works would be something you'd find out once you test it out yourself, if you see what I mean. So because your audience and followers and everything are unique, but to learn and upskill yourself, like, for example, I know Lucy does a certified Facebook blueprint training. So obviously the certified courses are going to help because they go through a step-by-step process to learn it. If you want a less hands-on approach and you just want to learn it in your own time and maybe not an official course or certification, then you can use websites like Skillshare and Udemy, where loads of content creators put small short courses together, like 5 to 7 minutes. And I know with Udemy and Skillshare, they have mobile apps as well. So you can watch it on your phone. They're like 3 to 5 minute videos, and you could learn about one particular area. So ads, content marketing, whatever it is, depending on your business, baking, whatever it could be. You could do the short courses to learn that. But I would definitely look at blogs when you consume them, or videos or courses, and then actually test it out on your business. That's going to be the best way to learn practically. But obviously, theoretically, you might need the knowledge. So use something like Skillshare, use Udemy, and use the free resources. Facebook has their own, whole library of resources for learning about ads and everything, and that's free. So the best place to start is kind of on your front doorstep with the social channels themselves. Otherwise, you can use stuff like Udemy and Skillshare to find short free courses, which shouldn't take up too much of your time.
Absolutely, that's great advice, Ravi. There's so much training out there that's free and obviously paid as well. And it's also important to note that I think trying things yourself and seeing what works is just like, the perfect thing marketers can do at the end of the day, because then you're learning and working out what's right for your audience and also for you as a brand or a business as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's such a powerful thing. If anyone can take anything away from today, it'll be that, because a lot of big marketers and businesses may say like this is the golden thing. Like I just saw a crazy graphic today morning where it was like the rise and fall of Clubhouse. Don't know if you've seen it, Lucy. The chart had January, February, March, April, and it was just how many users there were, and it was just like 100,000, 200,000. And then in February, or was it February, 9.4 million, like the spike just went mental. And then in March, 2 million, April, 600,000, and it's going down to literally nothing. So what I'm trying to say is, if there's the hottest trend, it doesn't necessarily mean your business should jump into it. So like Lucy said, if you test out the different types of content, you're going to know what works, and there's no reason to jump on any shiny things if what you're already doing is working. By all means, test it out, but have a backup of based on what you've actually tested out and works.
Yeah, because we're all learning at the end of the day, aren't we? Sally Parks, hi Sally. Sally says, I'm totally new to this, so helpful, thank you. Well, that's really good to hear. So Ravi, so say for example, because we did talk a little bit about having a content plan last time, didn't we? So say for example, you're putting together this content marketing plan, for social media and also perhaps for, your blog and that kind of thing as well, because it all fits together really, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What is the most important thing to think about? Like, what's the most important kind of content to have in that plan, and why?
Yeah, so taking your customers or followers from A to B is the most important thing. A being where they are now, meaning they want help or support with something, and B meaning they totally have found the solution, and in between is your business, right? So A, you don't know how to do Facebook ads, or even like Sally saying she's totally new to content, right? That's her A point. Then her joining this live Q&A is how we're helping her to discover how to find content. And then the B part will be like, oh, she might like what Lucy and Ravi are saying. Maybe she might go check out the Digital Women website or follow Agora Pulse or Ravi on YouTube, for example. That's the end point. So you take them from that I need help awareness stage to these guys are actually helpful because they are sharing what I want to learn about. And now, like Sally, for example, might be like, well, yeah, I do want to learn more about what they have to say because they helped me before. So when you're putting your calendar together, think about how you can help your followers and what you want them to obviously consume as a result. So it could be a blog, a video, whatever. But then when they land on that piece of content, eventually they're going to want to contact you. So the first priority would be how can you help answer their pain point or their question? So we knew the demand for a content Q&A was there, which is why we hosted it today. And then we know the end result is if people enjoy this, they may join us next week. And obviously then they can learn more about Digital Women and Agora Pulse. And so that's our process of putting this together. So when you're a business, what content can you create that's going to help your customers or audience? And it doesn't have to be business. It could be like you're baking cakes, but the person doesn't know how to bake, or they need to, to create a recipe in 30 minutes, whatever it may be. You can share that process and something to help them. And then they'll come to you for that advice because you built up that trust. So find out how you can answer your customers' pain points or help them. And that's the first thing you need to do with your content.
Well, brilliant. Thank you, Ravi. So do you think it's important to make sure when you're creating the content that we have a goal in mind for the content first? Because I think you just basically said that anyway. But what kind of goals are the best goals to have? Because everyone's like, well, my goal is to get more sales, and that's what my goal is. But actually, with social media, there's slightly different goals, aren't they? Because it doesn't necessarily lead to the sales straight away. There's other types of content you need to create in your marketing funnel. So what are good goals? What would you say are good goals for?
Yeah, really good question. Just to answer Sally's question, Lucy will post it on the YouTube channel and across her social channels, so you can watch it as a replay afterwards. Really good question, Lucy. So social media content is kind of broken down into 3 areas. You have the engagement piece. So like your pure purpose of that content is to get people to comment, share their opinion. These could be things like polls or questions or things you want feedback on, like, you know, when you've seen those posts like A or B, for example. So engagement, literally just to have conversations. Then the second one would be like awareness or website traffic. So I guess you can have like, where do you want to drive them to? So awareness could be like, hey, we're doing a live Q&A. Like you want to raise awareness of your brand and what you're doing. That's not necessarily sales. It's just letting people know who you are and what you do. And it's more an awareness piece just to get people talking about you. And then the third one obviously is going to be sales, but in social, it's not so direct. Like we can't just be like, buy my £3,000 course at the end of this, you know, short live Q&A, because you would know, even if I gave you loads of value, it's not as simple as just saying purchase straight away. So the sales part, you usually have to break that down a little bit further. And the first part would be, for example, like I said in the earlier answer, if you're able to help them solve a pain point and you create that content through a blog or a video, that's the first part. And then obviously from there, to create the sale, you would then say, okay, well, if you want to work with Lucy or Ravi, for example, we have a mastermind group or a coaching program, and then they can learn more that way. So you don't go for the sale head on, you go through it through the value perspective. And then when people feel like they've got enough value, they'll naturally come to you to find out more about what you do. And that eventually could lead to the sales as well.
Thank you, Ravi. Absolutely. So we have a question here from our Facebook, from Kim John. Hi, Kim. I found that my social following has stagnated. Yes, I try to post consistently and I get consistent engagement when I do. But how can I reinvigorate my channels and help build my following again? Great question, Kim. Over to you, Ravi.
Yeah, good question. Kim, I didn't see you post what channel you're talking about. I guess that does make a difference. You're posting via Facebook. So if it was Facebook, we know that organic reach isn't great. Even Facebook themselves have said the percentages are like, I don't know, between 1% and 3%, give or take. So it's a lot harder to get them organically to keep coming back to the page, because obviously so few see the content. Obviously, content that's like media rich, like images and videos, are just going to grab people's attention in the feed. That's going to help. Oh, Instagram mostly. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so for Instagram, what I'd first of all do is just have a quick audit, like 5 minutes or less, scroll down through your profile. And have you tried all the different type of Instagram content types to engage your audience? Have you tried stories? Lucy mentioned reels. Also in your stories, are you using the stickers to tag people? Are you using like 3 hashtags? Are you using all the location stickers if you're a local business? Are you using the stories to its full ability? With the reels, like Lucy said, are you repurposing video for the reels? In your posts, have you tried single images, the carousels when you scroll across? And also, have you tried video? And then lastly, the hashtags. Are you mixing up your 30 hashtags? Are you using the same ones and just copy and pasting it? And are you asking people to do the same thing every post, or is it different each time? And then lastly, what is the link in your Instagram bio? Is it to your website? Is it to like a link tree or a Shortby, you know, where they can look at multiple things? Make it clear what you want people to do, and, you know, have a look at what you're asking them to do after each post. If you're just posting without asking them to either click your link in the bio or follow you or engage with you, then that's where you can probably get the hurdle. A quick win for you, Kim, like super quickly, just use like the story poll sticker and ask some basic questions on even like every other day, because people like clicking just yes and no. It takes 3 seconds to do, and it gets them in the habit of interacting with you. So then when you post other types of content, their eyes are already on it, because they're like, yeah, I engaged with Kim's poll yesterday about whatever you want to ask them, to be fair. Like bank holiday weekends coming up could be about that. Anything generic that's going to appeal to them, like simple engagement questions, are going to get them used to engaging with you. And obviously you can use things like the countdown timer and stuff. Instagram is such a huge topic, but make sure you're using all the different types of content Instagram has to offer and changing up your hashtags.
Wow, great advice, Ravi. And there were so many. For anybody listening, I think that you're just getting so much value from Ravi right now, because the amount of different things that you just mentioned that you can do there are incredible. And I'm sure we'll write that all up in the following blog post about this talk as well. So if you have any questions, guys, please feel free, because this is live, to ask them as well. So Ravi, I think that it's different for it can be different actually for product-based businesses and service-based business to what they post obviously on social media and stuff. So for service-based businesses, we're trying to add a lot of value to get people to trust us and like us, so eventually they buy from us. But for product-based businesses, it's actually okay, isn't it, to share your products, because that's what people they want to buy them. But then people are always saying all the time, share valuable content, don't keep selling stuff. So where's the line, and what's the difference between kind of like social media promotion for product-based businesses and service-based businesses?
Yeah, I think the product one is very different because with the product, like take it for fashion. Like for example, I like buying my trainers, and I'd want to physically see the shoe, the image of it before I purchase, because we can't, I mean, everyone, give or take your situation, lockdown, etc. You're not going to be able to just go out and go into a store, try it on. So you are using online more and more to see the look and feel of things virtually. That makes sense in a weird way. So you have to market the product. The difference with product-based businesses is that there's a lot more scope to advertise the features and the product and the look and feel of it through imagery. Whereas a service-based business, unless you have people shaking hands or something really strange, there's no way to really show what the service does visually, unless you do video content and you have like interviews where customers come in and give you testimonials, etc. So the difference with product one is people definitely do want to see that, because if you follow any jewelry pages or clothing or fashion or any kind of product-based business, you want to see the quality of it. You want to see a different color or the ranges available. Even something like an iPhone is available in different sizes and shapes and models. So you want to see the physical product. And depending on what the product is, people are really into the technical aspects of the product. Like the jewelry, they want to know what carat it is, what, the finishing, what materials it's made up, whether it's handmade or not. All those small details, those are things you could talk about in a product-based business. And in a service-based business, it's the quality of the service. So it's more your culture and your values and what you can bring to the table when people are carrying out a service with you. So it's more story-led, whereas in product, it's more focused on the actual thing that you sell, the actual item that you sell as well. So that's the difference between the two, I'd say. You can be more forward with the product because you have sales and special offers. But with service-based business, you need to share more of a story behind what it is, who you're helping, how you transform people, and take them on a journey with you, because they're not used to that, because they only get that in person, for example.
Brilliant, Ravi. That was really, really good advice. Thank you. So we have a few questions coming in now. So LinkedIn user, I don't know who you are. Sorry, please comment and let us know who you are if this is your question on the screen. Yeah. What is your number one content no-no?
There's a few, I guess. Number one, resharing the same thing again and again, probably. Or I guess oversharing resharing the same thing again and again. So it'd be like either over promoting whatever it may be, whether it's your website or even a special product or an offer. Sharing the same thing again and again is the quickest way to turn off your fans and followers. That can be for any type of content. We talked about it at the beginning today about repurposing it. So changing the content is completely different even though you're sharing the same post topic, you're not sharing specifically the same thing. Whereas if like Lucy said before, if a product-based business shared a special offer 7 times a week, you eventually will be like, I'm bored of this, I've seen it. It's one of the reasons why people hide Facebook ads, because they see it too many times. So the number one content no is oversharing the same thing again and again. There's obviously loads of no ones. That's actually a really good question, but I'd say oversharing the same content.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ravi. Yeah, it would be, do you know what? I think one of ours should be like all the things you should never do. It would be a really interesting, I think.
That is a good topic for one of these Q&As. Yes.
Might be a YouTube video or something like for you actually on your channel, Ravi, all the things you should not do on social media, and then just like go through them all and show the like examples.
That's it. I will actually get onto that. That's a great idea.
So thank you, LinkedIn user, whoever you be or whoever you are. So we've got Jen Parker as well. She's got a question over on Facebook. How far in advance do you recommend planning your content? 1 month in advance, for example? Good question, Jen.
Yeah, really good question, Jen. Depending on your industry, I would just start as a minimum of a week to keep you ahead of schedule, because you might be busy or some things might take you away from your day in your day-to-day running of the business. So you may not have time to post. So at least a minimum of a week. If you can go up to a month, that's great. the tip to get you to that, the tip to get you from 1 week to 4 weeks would be have themed content or days which you share certain things. Like if you've got a YouTube channel and you post every Monday, that's your Mondays filled up. If you've got a Tuesday tips or whatever it may be, I'm just making these up, but you'd have something similar that you post regularly, then you know every Tuesday you got something. So if you've got a theme to your content, and you know what you're roughly going to share on certain days, it'll help you plan the rest of the month because you know exactly where that content slots in. And also, the reason I say start off in a week is because we could wake up tomorrow and something else is trending. Like I mentioned, the fall of Clubhouse. If your business was on Clubhouse, then again, you're going to have to pivot. So looking at what's trending and what's going on in the real world, you want to leave some space for that stuff. But I'll start with a week. And then as you get used to the themes and stuff, what people are engaging with, you can kind of expand that out to 2, 3, and eventually 4. And then once you've got a month worth of content, you probably have a way better idea in terms of what people like engaging with and the type of post they like. And you can just keep repeating the formula every single month or every single week, and making sure you leave space for things like trending content and for real-time conversations such as polls or more light-hearted stuff as well.
Brilliant advice again, as usual, Ravi. I hope that helped, Jen. A Facebook user says, it's great to hear those details are actually interesting. I always feel like I'm too granular.
Yeah, I think anyone who is into a product, like let's just take an iPhone because everyone knows what that is. There's no such thing as too granular. Like people want to know what the case is made out of. They want to know the width of the phone. They want to know the exact megapixels of the camera. Like you can't actually get more detailed when it comes to, I mean, a phone is a technology product, but even if it's like, clothing, people still want to know the details of how it's made and all that. If it's less so, like a perfume or whatever, they may want to know how it's made. So there's always a more detailed part of the story, which your customers will be very interested in knowing, because again, it's what makes a product unique. A lot of health brands, use that type of marketing to share where they've sourced stuff from. Shampoos now have got like 75 types of fruit in it before you've even kind of used it. So like the health aspect is a big thing because they use the story and how they get source ingredients. They do it with coffee as well. So using that in your own businesses could be a great way to share with what makes your service unique or what makes your product unique.
Absolutely. And I always feel like with fashion as well, clothes, you never know, especially in women's fashion, you never know if a certain size is going to fit because there's no standard for sizes. It's all over the place. So by actually showing a picture of a woman that fits a certain size, so it will give people an idea of whether that fits, like it's going to fit them or not, and just like writing down the size is this woman, so you know if it's going to look okay on you as well, because everyone's different shapes and sizes. And that's the kind of information, just if any retailers are watching, that's the kind of information we want to know when we're shopping. Oh, also we want pockets in dresses, just if anybody's watching.
Yeah, so it's lifestyle, right? So you're telling that customer like how they can wear it or the best way to wear it and what kind of sizes the dress would suit and what type of person would be good for this type of dress or outfit, whatever. So that's exactly what I mean. Sharing how it's used is like the lifestyle of it, and that could be a great way to share more granular information, like the Facebook user said, to give people more information and also to picture them using it. Like if you, like right now I'm on a standing desk, but when I was looking at different types of desks to buy, one of the advantages is obviously you could stand, but then you could, your hands would be free. Your obviously posture is a bit more straighter up. So there's advantages of having that kind of desk. So if those lifestyle advantages weren't sold into me, I just think it's another plank of wood that you can just rest your computer on. So you need to have that lifestyle to actually help people imagine how they can fit themselves into, how they can see themselves using your product or service.
Absolutely. What great advice, Ravi. So so when it comes to social media, you talked a little bit, you covered funnels a little bit, and it goes at each part of the funnel. When it comes to social media in general, like when you're creating this content, is the content you create on social media kind of like in the awareness part of the funnel? Is it like at the conversion, or is it somewhere in the middle there? Like where does social media sit?
It sits in all three parts. And if I break that down very simply, what top of funnel means is no one's heard of you. This is the first time they're seeing your brand or your content. So top of funnel usually is what can we post on our social media channels to help people learn about who we are. And that's usually like something educational, informative, something of value, right? That's called top of funnel. So now they're like, oh, I read the Digital Women blog. I kind of know about digital women. So you use your social media to create top of funnel content to help them learn about your business. Then you have middle of funnel content. This could be like, you could use ads to retarget. So this could be everyone who's read the Digital Women blog about content. Let's show them an ad for our content marketing workshop. Now it's middle of funnel because they've already heard of you and you're actually giving them an additional piece of content that's related. Then the bottom of the funnel is basically, now that you've viewed the content webinar, you can also buy the membership program where we teach you all about content marketing, and this is what it costs. So you're able to sell them because they're more warmer, because they've already watched your webinar before, and now you're ready to go through that stage. So 3 stages is top of funnel, they've never heard of you, so your content's goal is to educate them and give them value. Middle of funnel is they've heard of your content before, so you give them even more value the second time round. And then the bottom of funnel is, now that they've consumed that content where you've gone into more detail, you can offer them something to sell, like a product or service. And because they've already engaged with your blog and they've gone into your workshop, for example, they're now ready to make that purchasing decision. So each post you do would fall into one of those 3. Usually the retargeting stuff can be only done with ads, because you can't really retarget through organic posts. And then the bottom of funnel you could also do with email as well, if someone signed up to your list.
Well, Ravi, that's really good advice again. So let's try and get this. Let's try and help people to get this organised, because there's a lot of information, isn't there? Like we talked about all of the different kinds of content that you can create and post and that kind of thing, where it might sit in the funnel. And all of the different, so you've got lots of different blog posts and that kind of thing, and you want to then create content from those blog posts, suddenly it starts to feel a little bit overwhelming. So is there a document or something that we would use to kind of plan all of this content marketing out? Is there some way that we could put it all together so that we can kind of like visualize it and see like where all of these different blog posts are, all this website stuff on our website is, and how we're gonna then make that into social media posts, and how we're gonna then get the traffic back through the funnel and back to those posts, and then back to our, like offer or whatever it is that we're selling. Like, yeah, it seems complicated, doesn't it, when you say all of these things? So how do we see it in front of us so that it makes sense? A really good question. So there's two ways. You first obviously need to track what you're posting, because how would you know if something's working or if you're getting followers or likes or whatever it may be? So to track it, you can do 2 different things. Like I know, Lucy, for example, you got your social media planner. You may write down all the ideas for the posts you have in a planner, because you just like writing stuff where all your thoughts are. And then if you move on to digital and you want to actually see on the screen all the stuff you've got planned for the month or whatever, then you could use a social media tool to do that. Obviously, like for example, in this instance, I use Agorapulse. So every content scheduler you use will have a calendar function built in. And if they haven't, then you need to change your tool. So the calendar function will just show all the posts you've got scheduled out on a variety of your social media channels. It's not going to show when your blogs are scheduled out, because your actual blogs, like when you're writing them and publishing them, that's going to sit within your website. So like WordPress or Squarespace or whatever you use, or Wix or whatever you use for your website, you'll be in control of when those physically go live. But once they're live, you can schedule them through your social media channels using a social media tool. And to answer your question, Lucy, so what you would do is you would have your post scheduled out. Within the social media tools, there's also like a reporting section, so you can actually see what's been happening on each of those channels. But separately, I know a lot of people find it quite daunting or scary when they hear like Google Analytics, and we're not like data analysts, and it's quite scary. And even for me, I was like, well, Google, what do I need to learn all of that for? But you need to track your website traffic. It's very important to know how many people have gone back to your website, and you don't need to be like a data analyst or a pro. Google Analytics is like a free piece of software by Google. If you literally just log in, even from the second you log in, you'll just be able to see on a super simple level the total number of people who have come to your website, and you can filter by date. So what you would do is, when you're creating your social posts, if there's any links going back to your website, your Google Analytics will track that and tell you, well, how many clicks you got that month or how many visits you got. And it will actually tell you where they've come from. So you can break it down by source, and it'll be like
17 clicks came from Facebook, 20 via Twitter, etc. So you would use your social media tool, the reporting side, to see what contents worked on social media and what's doing the best. And then you'd use your Google Analytics to see, well, what's actually brought me the most website traffic. And if it's like Pinterest, because we know people click pins, the traffic is really high on there, then it might mean that you need to do more of Pinterest and less of Twitter, for example, if it's not driving enough website traffic. And that's just website traffic, obviously, if that's your goal. Again, look at all your channels in this way. So once it's scheduled, look at the whole month view or week view in your social media tool, and then have a look at what's working and what's not. And then to make sure it eventually drives to people downloading your ebook or sales or website traffic, then make sure you check your Google Analytics to see how many people are actually visiting your website. And your goal will be to obviously increase that month on month. That's a super basic level answer. It obviously goes into a little bit more detail, but check your social data with the tool and then check your website traffic with Google Analytics.
Wow, thank you again, Ravi. Thank you. That was a great answer to the question. So has anybody else got any other questions? So feel free to comment if you do. Otherwise, add your questions here live for Ravi to answer. Can you also put a link to the Agora Pulse content social media management system, like our links so you can get a month free? Because I think that's really important that you try out the different tools so you can see which ones work for you. And we have a month free, yes. You might as well try it. Yeah,
exactly. I think with social media, a lot of businesses who may not be used to doing it like every single day or have done it properly for their businesses that they're just getting started may think that it takes up hours and hours a day. Initially, it will take a bit of time because you need to plan what you want to post and where you're going to post it. Once you start that process and you start scheduling stuff in, the amount of like relief that's off your shoulders because next week's all taken care of means you can spend that whole week now working on the business, like managing to your customers, your accounts, whatever you do on a day-to-day basis. And then the better you get at it, you'll start getting 2 weeks ahead and 3 weeks. I'd probably say a month would be the max that you need. I know, for example, Agora Pulse has a feature called queues, which means I can just say every Monday at 10 a.m. I want news articles to go out. So whenever I schedule something to go into a news article, it'll just push it at 10 a.m. on every single day. And if I have 20 news articles, it'll post it on the next 20 dates available, and that could be the next 20 weeks, and it's all done automatically. So depending on what tool you're using, you can maybe set these automatic times, and then you can just schedule content into each of those topics, so then it automatically fills without you having to think about it. If you want to do it manually, then like I said, you can think to yourself, well, what day or what time do my followers like to hear about news and latest info, and is it before work, so like 7:30 in the morning? Then you can make sure in the mornings you schedule all your new stuff, and that way you could do it Monday to Friday where it's all in the morning, and you know that you've got a routine of what to post and when to post it. It'll just help you fill up your calendar a lot quicker.
That's so good, Ravi. Does that mean that it's based on the kind of stuff that you've posted, Agora Pulse knows what the best time of day to post are, and so that you can queue content to go out at those times?
Yeah, so you'd have to, so the reporting will tell you the best time to post, but what you have to do is you have to identify what that queue is. You have to name the actual topic. So I might call it content tips, right? And then I assign it a day and time. So it might be Wednesday, 10 a.m. Now, every time you find a piece of content that's related to content marketing, you say send to the content marketing queue, and it'll just shove it into the next 10 a.m. Wednesday slot available. So you're free to then open 50 tabs like we all do, find all the content marketing stuff, just send it all to this queue, and it'll just fill up all the 10 a.m. slots available, which means you could have 20 weeks worth of Wednesdays done because you've set the date and time up as a queue. So imagine if you had like one for each day, you'd be able to fill up your calendar without manually going in and remembering, oh, actually this needs to go out on a Wednesday. As long as it's tagged with the content queue, it'll automatically, as long as you send it to the content queue, it's automatically going to go out at the time that you've suggested every single week. So it's a quick way to fill up your calendar. If you are doing it manually, then maybe just think of some themes and some times that you want to share it, and then schedule it at those times every week. And then depending on what your reporting is saying, if it's getting good results, then obviously stick to it. And if it's not, play around with the different times or maybe change the post up as well.
Wow, Ravi, do you know what? That's going to save people so much time, isn't it? Once obviously you got into the flow of things and you started creating the content that's really working for your audience and that kind of thing. So, is there anything that you want to kind of round off with, Ravi? Is there anything that you think that people need to know, or is there anywhere they need to go if they want to get, the information that they need to be great at this content marketing stuff?
Yeah, there's a couple of websites I can share with you guys that's going to help you get your ideas off the ground. So BuzzSumo, which is BuzzSumo.com, is a website which basically you type in a keyword. So it could be, I don't know, gardening, for example, and it'll find all the top blogs that are the most shared on social media to do with gardening. And it's a great way to see what's popular. And for you to think, well, if people love this particular thing about gardening, maybe as a gardening business, I should be talking about it. So it's a good place for ideas. You could use Google Trends. It's a free tool by Google. And what Google Trends is, it tells you what the most popular things that people are searching for are. So if you go to Google Trends, you can actually see what's happening that particular day or week or that month if you type in a keyword. So if your business is jewelry, you might type in a specific type of jewelry. Like near Valentine's Day, obviously, people are searching for particular types of jewelry. Father's Day is coming up, for example. If your business is product-based, you may want to see what people are searching for. And this will give you ideas on the type of content you can create, because if you create content based on what people are searching for, it means your posts have more chances of being seen. And obviously, they're more in demand because for a fact that Google is telling you that there's 50,000 people that searched for, I don't know, friendship bracelets or whatever, then you know that that's something that you kind of want to talk about along the friendship theme or whatever it may be. Another tool you can use is Uber Suggest. So Uber, like, is in the taxi service, and then Suggest, all one word. Again, that helps you find articles in your niche which are popular. That's then going to just give you some ideas on what you can post. If it's a non-competitor, like if I'm baking cakes and I see another person talking about cakes, but they're not necessarily baking them, you could obviously share it directly on your social channels. HubSpot, HubSpot, they're a massive marketing tool, but they've actually got something called the Content Idea Generator, and you can just type in some keywords. It's like a free tool. You type in your keywords, whatever your industry is, and it'll just kind of churn out different ideas and what it thinks you can kind of share and topics and stuff as well. So it's a good way for you to get some ideas when you're planning your content in advance. Next, there's a social network called Quora. Now, the spelling is a bit funny. So it's Quora. And what Quora is, it's a social network that focuses on answering customer questions. That's it. There's no fancy images or stories and stuff. It's literally a user will post a question like, how can I get more likes on my Facebook posts? And then the whole Quora community, the social network, will share the top answers. And if you type in a question that you have, you'll see a lot of answers where people are giving the answer to the question you're looking for, and you can use that for content ideas. So I talked about earlier what could be the pain points your customers are going through. For example, I don't know if it's like a fashion one, like Lucy said, dress sizes, right? So you're struggling to find dresses in your size. If you type that into Quora, there'll be other women that have asked that same question where people would have given a really detailed answer. So you could use that as inspiration for ideas and content that you could potentially share to help people as well. And again, it's a free social network. You may have to sign in to search for it, but again, it's a good space for ideas. And another one, it's called Answer the Public. It's another tool that you can just use that gives content ideas on popular topics. And again, this is just going to help you to discover what people are actually searching for and the kind of topics that are top of mind. So I'm sure Lucy will list these all out, but it was BuzzSumo, Google Trends, Uber Suggest, HubSpot, Quora, and Answer the Public. So again, just a small selection of tools to get you started, but I'm sure we'll link that up so you guys can check it out in your own time.
Goodness me, Ravi, you have such a brilliant toolbox, don't you? I liked the Quora. Actually, you could almost use Quora to go and answer people's questions if you're an expert in that level, and to help you kind of like build your own profile up as an expert, couldn't you? And get people set going back to your social networks or your own website.
Yeah, so Quora is really underrated, because if your answer is good, it can get upvoted and then people can like it, and your single answer can have anything from 1,000 to 50,000 views if it hits the right chord. The reason Quora works well is it's not how you think of a typical Q&A. Like if someone says, how do you get more likes on your Facebook post, and someone says use more hashtags or whatever, the answers are very detailed. They're like 6 paragraphs long. You can include images to illustrate your answers. They're almost a blog post. So if you're diving in to find out other problems people have that are in your ideal customers, for example, you could use Quora to find that out. But if you're the expert in your industry, like if you're the jewelry person or fashion person or whatever it may be, you can actually go in there and search for the pain point and answer the question yourself. And if users like what you have to say, they'll just upvote you. And how does Quora help you actually get business? Well, within the answer, you can actually link back to your website and stuff naturally. You can't spam it, but you can put, like, if I wanted to highlight one of the words as jewelry or whatever, you can highlight that and have it linked back to your website, and Quora are fine with that. So you can still use the answers as a way of building expertise and drive that website traffic.
Wow. Do you know what? I don't know why I'm not using Quora, because it seems like a really, really good place. Although I do get daily done a lot on Quora, but it's pretty answering. Like, I must have asked a question about Harry Potter once. So now I just get an automatic digest of like all these facts about Harry Potter. But I think it's just a random question once, and now I'm like inundated with like Harry Potter questions.
That is hilarious. It literally is a question for anything you can think of, like from cleaning to Harry Potter. So if you do answer it, then the algorithm will think obviously you like those things and it'll show you more of it. But yeah, I think in terms of time, maybe just like 15 minutes a day. If you can answer one question a day on there, it can be really, especially if you're a small business listening now and you haven't got the budget for ads and you want people to see your stuff, like Quora could be where you answer a question a day to build the expertise. And a lot of people are naturally on there all the time looking for answers. So the traffic will actually build itself. You don't have to go and be like, hey, check out my answer. People will come and find you because they're searching for it.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for that, Ravi. So obviously this session has been recorded and is being recorded, and we'll put it up on the digitalwomen.live website. We have a page dedicated now to all of these videos, and you can put your email address in there if you want to get the email updates, so you know when all of the latest events and things are happening, especially these wonderful Agora Pulse ones with Ravi, which we absolutely love. And the next one is on the 29th of June.
Yeah.
12:30, again live on LinkedIn and Facebook or wherever your favorite kind of place to view live streams is. But Ravi, how can people find you? How can they follow up with you if they want more information and that kind of thing?
Yeah, sure. So if you want to follow me personally, then you can just search for my name on YouTube, or you can go to youtube.com/c/Ravi Shukle Marketing. And also, if you want to learn more about Agora Pulse and our tool, like we mentioned, for scheduling and reporting, you can search for us on YouTube. Just type in Agora Pulse UK, you'll find our channel, and we're also on Twitter and Facebook as well. So be sure to say hi. The link does look a bit crazy there for my channel, but if you just for the Agora Pulse channel, sorry, but if you just type in Agora Pulse UK in YouTube, it'll be easier than remembering those 17,000 syllables. So just type in Agora Pulse UK on YouTube, you'll find us, or just type in my name, Ravi Shukle, and you should be able to find me over on YouTube as well.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ravi. You've been absolutely amazing again, as usual. John, this was so incredibly helpful. Thank you. Thank you for joining us here. Thank you to everybody who's been watching live and asking all of your questions. Like Ravi said, if you want to find out more about Agora Pulse, go ahead and do that on YouTube. Follow his channel because it's going to be so good. He's going to do that social media no-nos that we're all really looking forward to. And perhaps when he does it, we'll send it out via our channels as well. And if you want to find out more about Digital Women, it's just digitalwomen.live, or there's a Facebook community and a LinkedIn community as well, where you'll be able to kind of watch these back and get more information, join the events and everything else that we've got going on around digital and social media and stuff. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody, and thank you, Ravi. Great to see you. We'll see you again next month.
Yeah, thanks, Lucy. Excited to dive into next month's one, because it's all about what to do with the content once you have it, so actually repurposing it. So I'm excited to share all those tips and strategies with you guys.
That's going to be really, really good, actually. I think now that we know what kind of content we're creating, we really need to know how that we can get the best from it and get as much from it as possible. Yeah. Thank you so much, Ravi. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you again next week.